Good evening. Welcome to Larry Rinker Golf Live. I'm pleased to be joined this evening by my mentor of many, many years, my longtime friend, Mr. Bob Toski. How you doing tonight, Mouse?
Larry, it's always great to see you, and I've never experienced a video audio thing like I'm doing tonight.
Well, you've got your PGA Hall of Fame. You were inducted into the PGA Hall of Fame, and you've got your World War II hat back there where you served. And, you know, it's pretty neat, the life that you have lived. And, you know, like to just share. Larry Rinker Golf Live is on Thursday, 7:30 to 8 p.m. Eastern on Thursday nights. And here you were, Bob, I believe you can see this now, but here you are getting a medal in Washington, D.C.
Correct.
Pretty neat there.
Yes.
And that was not that long ago.
No, you'll notice the salute with the hands are almost identical.
Yep. And then if anybody wants to find videos that you have and stuff that you have, they can go to thetouchoftoski.com.
Did you notice that when I signed that picture, the last thing I said was "your friend"?
Yes. Yes, I did.
And you know what they say: if you've got one great friend in life, you're doing good.
No, you are doing good. And
no, you're doing good.
Yes.
We're both doing good.
But, you know, it's funny you say that because I have a picture of our friend Payne Stewart, who passed away 21 years ago. And he signed this picture to my good friend, Larry. Hope everything's always perfect. Your friend, Payne.
Yeah.
So a little dig there about how things have to always be perfect. Hey, maybe they're not perfect, but still go out there and play and put a score up. Get the ball in the hole.
We get permanence, which is closer to perfection, but we never achieve perfection. Hogan said if I was perfect, I'd birdie every golf hole.
Well, Bob, I'm going to bring up some video of you from about 9 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll let you just describe here, you know, what you're doing and what you feel were your key, your golf.
You'll notice I have more weight shift in my right side than there is today. The right knee resists more. And you'll notice my left arm is not perfectly straight because I felt if I kept it straight, my swing would be too short and too quick. So it gave me more time to set the angle of the club face and the shaft at the top of the backswing. You'll notice my head has moved slightly off the circle. And so I had a lot more turn into my right side than I have today. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would agree with that.
Okay. You can see how far my left hip has moved off the red arrow on the backswing. And as I start down, notice my head has moved slightly out of the circle because of my weight shift. And then I'm back in the circle where I think all great players are at the point of impact because the head is an axis in which the body revolves under and around. And the center of my chest is almost dead square at the point of impact, which you mentioned when we were talking earlier.
Right.
And now you can see my left arm starting to straighten. You'll notice that the back of my glove, the back of the glove is still facing at right angles. So that means I retain the angle longer and I haven't squared the club face too early.
Right.
And now you'll see that club face square at the point of impact. And now notice the head position is now in the circle, but the head does move up and down slightly in most good players. Would you agree?
Yes, I do. especially hitting an iron.
But would you say that point of impact is almost perfect?
I would. And one thing, that all of us really like and what you taught me was weight supports motion. So your weight is in your left foot.
Yeah, you said the weight was about 75% on your left side.
Yeah. But look at where your left arm is in your hands, and the shaft of the club is behind your left arm. That's supporting impact, isn't it?
Yes. You'll notice my left arm isn't as straight as it should be because I don't swing the club with the amount of effort that a lot of people do. And as you said, you have a kind of a jump at impact where your left side straightens out a lot more than mine. Correct?
Yes. Yes.
But my hand-eye coordination was so good that I always felt like I could curve the ball or control the flight of the ball, whether I was trying to hit a draw, fade, or hit it square and straight. And I felt like I was three-dimensional and not one-dimensional in finding the golf ball. So from my size, I thought I was controlling the golf ball pretty good for my weight and size, which was about 120 pounds. But what you see there is I'm about 145 pounds there.
Well, what I like is what happens next, because you really rotate these arms and hands going through, and you can.
Well, that's true because I'm making a circle. What if I didn't make a circle? What if I went perfectly vertical through the ball and straight up instead of around?
Right.
Would I have a good release? Release means to rotate and accelerate.
Yes.
And release in the dictionary means to let go.
Right. But I would call release this, I say it this way, Bob. Release is a slang tour player word that we use. It's not correct, but basically it's where is this point in the swing where the butt of the club points back at the center of the chest.
Right.
The right arm is fairly straight and the hand and wrist has really kind of whipped it, and the ball's gone. But to me, that's kind of your release point right there. Boom.
Yeah, and most of I had very little curvature in my golf swing, my golf ball. It was pretty straight.
Well, when you have the support of the club like you have here, with that left arm and the club behind the left arm and your weight in your left foot, I mean, those are just fundamentals you taught me when I first met you. And I remember the first lesson you said to me, you said, Larry, if you can keep speed in your left arm, so we're just going to watch your left arm keep moving here. So if you can keep speed in it, and then now there it is at impact, but if you can keep the speed in that left arm, you can't hook it.
Correct. And I've always felt that the right hand and right arm were subservient to the left, and the left was in control of the right hand and right arm. So I could then stabilize or strike the ball with the back of the left hand and square the club face and keep the club face square through the impact zone.
But I think this is something, no matter what person I bring up, if I bring up myself and I show me an impact, you're going to see that the club is not past my left arm. If I bring up my sister Rory, you'll see it impact. Well, she's got it a little past, actually. There's a little past it there.
Yeah, notice how straight her left arm is.
Yep.
And it looks more rigid at impact.
Yep.
And therefore, that could cause what you were just talking about.
And then you look at Tiger at impact, and I mean, look at this. Holy cow. He's there, and then boom, look at that.
Yeah, look at how far forward his hands are.
Yeah.
Related to his left knee and left side.
Right, but look at that picture right there.
Yeah.
And then a guy named Fred Funk, who at 64 years of age made the cut last week. He's only the fourth player 64 and older to make a cut on the PGA Tour. And he led the driving accuracy for many years. But look again, look where the handle is. Johnny Miller used to always say you want to get those hands when you hit a golf ball slightly ahead of where the ball is when you strike it. And you'll see there's where his hands are as he hits it. And all good players, you're going to see, Bob, have this rotation of the arms, don't they?
Oh, yes, definitely. And I call that because we're making a circle
Right.
around your body.
And then
If
here's
we
Fred down the line. But this is a swing for the ages, you would say.
And who is this now?
Fred Funk.
Fred Funk.
Fred Funk.
What a character.
Yep.
Look at his shaft angle at the top. It's closer to his shoulder.
Yeah.
Notice he's not nearly as high as Jack was.
No.
Jack's golf swing was his left arm and hand were a lot higher because Jack Rout told him to reach for the sky.
Yep.
So
well, here's an old video. Here's an old video of Jack right here. If I can bring this up. I'll stop this share and try and get back in there with V1. Sometimes it kind of freezes a little bit. But Bob, we've got a bunch of people on Facebook that are watching, and got Neil Lancaster and Paul Malone said, hope y'all talk about your release pattern. And I think we kind of talked about that with what you do in your release pattern.
Well, you're right about the word release. We're simply trying to, Bobby Jones said at impact, he could feel through his hands at the point of impact where the club face was shut, open, or square. So he was very sensitive to the force of the club at impact through his hands up into his arms and shoulders. And of course, he was one of the greatest players we ever had. But I've always felt that I simply tried to square the club face through impact like a putt, a straight putt. I didn't try to swing to the right and let the ground curve the ball back to the left. And of course, when I first met you, you knew how much you swung out to the right of your target and how much you curved the ball.
Well,
and then I played with you just recently, a year or so ago, and I was amazed how straight you drove the golf ball. It was just amazing how much you improved your golf swing.
Well, I'm going to bring up Jack here first. We can talk about my swing in a second. But here's kind of an early Jack Nicklaus. And you don't see a lot of lateral motion in the backswing.
No, he almost looks like he's got a reverse pivot.
Right. And then you see him coming down and a lot of drive, and you can see how he rises a little bit in his lower body coming into the ball.
Yeah.
And then there is his swing. Kind of a young Jack Nicklaus, but quite a swing. Now, someone you watched hit balls 10 times, Mr. Ben Hogan. And you can see he
Look
had
at how far his head moved off the circle.
Yeah, yeah. And then this is something that I remember sitting in your house. You showed me some pictures of Hogan. You said, now watch how far forward his lower body shifts in the downswing.
Yeah. I've always felt like the legs being heavier and slower than the arms and hands, that as the player reached the top of the swing, he started to create a downshift and a forward shift because the weight of your arms can catch up to your legs, but your legs can't catch up to your arms.
Right. And then there he is with his finish.
Notice how his follow through is a lot higher than his backswing. Correct?
Oh, yes.
If you hold it right there before the hands get past his head, you'll see how high his hands are right there. Look at Look at
Yeah,
how high that
they're all
release
the
is.
way up here.
And look at how straight his left side is, because he's got a lot of weight on what side of his body, his left side.
Yeah, his left side. Well, you were talking about me, and the one thing that I really felt you helped me with, as you mentioned, I swung too much to the right. And you taught me how to feel swinging more left through the ball, but that really just got me swinging straighter through the ball, didn't it?
How fast does the golf club move left after impact if you hit it straight?
Yep. So if you watch this swing now, you'll see that this swing is on plane, and there's the ball taken off straight.
Look at how beautifully your golf club has traveled left and around and then up.
Yep.
Where when I first met you, that golf club was traveling well to the right of your target. Is that true?
So what you taught me, Bob, was you taught me that my arms controlled the path. I was swinging too much to the right. So you said, Larry, you got to get your hands going more left, which that's my left arm going more left through the ball.
Yeah, I was simply trying to change the path and the speed of your golf swing through impact.
Right.
And as you moved your left arm faster through impact, your right hand couldn't hook the ball like you would when you were swinging to the right and hitting a big draw.
And I used to love getting that left arm through and just daring it to go left with you can see my release here. If you even look at this angle, you can see I've got some pretty good rotation in my arms and hands here. So I would dare that thing to go left, but as long as that left arm had speed, I couldn't hit it left.
I used to do this in my golf schools, Larry. I used to have my students leave go with their right hand just at impact and finish their swing with their left arm and hand, and then tell them to leave go with their left hand at impact and finish their swing with their right arm and hand. And you'll notice the difference in the control of the golf club at impact.
Oh yeah, yep. And
so Seymour Dunn said this many years ago in his Fundamentals of Golf. He said the right hand and arm are subservient to the left. The right hand works on and around and about the left, and the left must control the force of the blow at the point of impact, and the left side has to act as a fulcrum to the right hand and right side to keep the club face under control.
So we've got a question from our friend Steve Bourbon. And he says, Bob, what do you think of all this resurgence of the importance of using the feet and ground force in recent teaching? Not too long ago, they were talking about keeping the feet down.
You mean being flat-footed?
Well, they're talking about using the feet ground force. There's a lot more talk about that today, about using your feet.
No, that's true. Your feet and legs are a support system for your upper body, and your feet control the balance and the force of the swing. So if I told you to swing the golf club flat-footed, never took your heel and ball of your foot and toe off the club, how much power could you generate?
You could do pretty good, but you'd have more if you used your feet.
You'd have to be very strong in your forearms and hands. And if I asked you to hit a golf ball on your toes and keep both heels up in the air and keep them that way, what would happen to your golf swing?
You could have some speed. You could have some, not max.
Well, if you watch like tennis, they're always bouncing on the balls of their feet, right?
Yes.
They're getting ready to be athletic from their lower body. And I always watch tennis players, and they're bouncing, right?
Right.
They're getting called agile. They're getting quick. They're getting alert. Yeah, you got it. And of course, then you know how high they throw the ball. They get the racket up very high. so that they can get the force of the ball going pretty fast, straight over the net, and they would ace everybody out if they could do that. And well, what do you think about the fact that the players today are taller and stronger than we were back on the tour in the 50s? We're 5'10" was tall, and 160, 65 was heavy.
Right.
So what's happened? And the golf swing, as you know today, the science of the golf swing and the study of the human anatomy is now more adapt to what you're talking about.
Right.
So we played more by feel and not the understanding of the technique that was happening of the swinging force, turning force, and shifting force. Where today, the science of what you talked about with the doctors that you met and talked to, you can see the improvement of the golf swing with the tour players, where they all look pretty much the same to a great degree. Correct?
Yeah, but there's still there's still some differences. And this is something that I've learned, from Dr. David Wright. But if we just pull up some players of today, some guys that have been playing some pretty darn good golf, if we pull up Webb Simpson, for instance, I shot this at the US Open at Pebble Beach last summer. Well, this is what we would call an upper core player, someone not very rotated at impact. And that's what you're talking about, the balls of your feet. He's in the ball of his left foot right there hitting this golf ball.
Right.
And even the next few frames, he's still not very rotated. So we'd call that an upper core player. But then you look at a Jordan Spieth at impact, and you're going to see him much more rotated in the weight in the heel of his left foot. And we would call this a low core player, like a Dustin Johnson, where their lower body much more cleared, like a Paul Azinger or Lee Trevino in their prime.
True, but I would prefer the golf swing on the left.
Well, but I think it comes down to what works for you, because both of these swings really aren't what we all love, which the swing we love. I mean, here's Grant Waite, who, a lot of people feel like he has a, pretty perfect golf swing here. And you can see there he is at impact hitting a golf ball. He's nowhere near as he's much more rotated than Webb Simpson on the left. And then, probably a lot of people would consider that Adam Scott. And if you watch Adam here, this is just plain city. I mean, look at this golf swing, left arm perfectly on plane, club perfectly on plane. There's that average tour player, hips rotated 40 to 45 degrees at impact. There's the rotation of the arms and hands, club still on plane. So, true. I mean, his club head is on plane from here all the way to there the whole time. The whole time that club's right on plane.
Change in plane.
What's that?
There's very little change in
No, there's very little. But a lot of people would say and look at that position and impact and say, well, that's where you want to be. And unfortunately, that's what hurt me. That's what ended my career, because I'm like Webb Simpson, where I'm like this at impact. And I now understand nothing is wrong with that. And we look at another player like a Rory Mcilroy. It's kind of interesting with Rory. He actually rotates and then he pushes up from the ground, and he's probably about as rotated as Adam Scott is in this video here.
The amazing thing about golf, Larry, that a lot of people don't understand is how much the left shoulder is going up at impact, right?
Yes.
And how much the force of the swing is going down, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
And that's what gives you the feeling of what you would call jump.
Well, jump's more coming out of this left leg. It's more the
true. But what if he didn't have any vertical? What if he didn't have any tilt in his downswing? What if his shoulders stay square like they are here in the dress?
Well, but he goes down and then pops
Then up.
up, you know, and pound for pound, he's one of the longest guys out there.
And to me, Larry, that's what you said earlier. That left arm is moving that fast.
Yes.
To control the force of the blow with the right arm and right hand.
Yep. No, it's beautiful what he's doing there. So it's some pretty cool stuff.
See, if the follow through is that high, it's the left arm that's taking the right arm up that high. If the right arm was dominant, then the follow through would look a lot flatter.
Yeah, it would.
Good.
Well, Bob, my new book is out, The Journeyman, and I'm so thankful that you were able to write a foreword for me. I really like what you wrote in there about golf instruction, that it's hard to kind of standardize it. We really got to work with each student. We really got to see what they do. And I think that's something I've learned a lot about from you. And really, we got to work with what people have, don't we?
Who's made a more science out of the golf swing today than Shambo?
Who's done it? Nobody, really.
Not really. And I'm concerned about how long that swing's going to last.
Well, I'm concerned about certain swings where people can hurt themselves. I'm concerned that a lot of guys are trying to get distance through rotation, and if the weight's in the balls of their feet, they're going to hurt themselves trying to get more rotated. If somebody's an upper core player like me or Webb Simpson, and they keep trying to clear those hips and rotate too much, that's an injury waiting to happen, in my opinion.
And when you swung a golf club, what was the rate of speed with your golf swing?
Well, and when I was playing the tour in my late 20s, early 30s, I probably had about 105 mile per hour.
And now it's up to 100 and what?
Average club head speed's 113 to 115 now. Driver club head speed.
What is Shambo?
He's clocked in over 140, and he's clocked in ball speed over 200. Okay,
speed can kill if it's out of control, like driving a car, 130 miles an hour.
Yes, so it is.
I would agree with you that you can ruin your body. You can have lower lumbar problems or whatever.
Yes, well, Bob, great having you on the show tonight, and would just like to say that thank you for your service here, and also thanks for your friendship through all these years. And if anybody wants to know more about Bob Toski, go to www.thetouchoftoski.com. And I'd like to thank my sponsors, Titleist FootJoy, the Ritz-Carlton Golf Club Orlando, and the Red Sky Golf Club in Vail, Colorado. Also, FlightScope V1, Right Balance. And Bob, thanks so much for what you have done throughout your career. You have really helped all of us. You were really the pioneer of starting golf schools with the Golf Digest schools. Many of us now get to teach for a living because of what you did with all the great instructors that you hired. And
I'd like to add one note, Larry.
Okay.
How much I've admired your family, your father and your mother and your sisters and brothers. And to me, family is one of the most important things in life.
No, I couldn't agree more. Well, thanks for watching tonight, everyone. Larry Rinker Golf Live is live on Facebook's Thursday nights, 7:30 to 8 p.m. Eastern. Till next week, keep swinging.